Welcome to the TNS Book Club here on ETV. If you've just joined us, you're right in time. We're at the Book Circle Capital here in Melville. And today's author that we are featuring is Nokuthula Mazibuko Msimang. She's just written this lovely, lovely book, The Daughters of Nandi. But that's not all she's written. There's a host of other titles under her belt. But let's start the conversation right here. Ausi, welcome to the morning show.
Oh, thank you, William Lehong. I'm delighted to be on your book show.
Let's talk about just you as a writer.
Yeah.
Take me to where it all started for you.
Sure, 25 years ago, I decided I want to write for children because, I felt that's where I'd make the greatest impact, you know. I thought, the older readers, they are set in their ways. So, so I decided, fine, let me write for children. So my first two books were published by New Africa Books, In the Fast Lane and A Mozambican Summer. So it was really, stories around who we are, as African people. A Mozambican Summer, it's really teaching children about that country, how beautiful it is and so on. 25 years later, I then decided to write my first book of adult historical fiction, The Daughters of Nandi.
Why 25 years? That's like a quarter of a century. Was that a long period or not from where you're sitting?
You know what? I then realized that the children that I was writing for 25 years ago are now grown. You see?
Okay.
So if I'm to also grow with my readers, the time has come. And also, I have been interested in history yesiZulu, and of course, the character of Queen Nandi is fascinating.
Yes.
So I then imagined if one were to have a conversation with her about that time, and more importantly about a supposed curse that she unleashed upon her descendants. How would that conversation go? And if there was indeed a curse, did she regret it? And that's where the story starts. She curses her descendants and regrets it in the afterlife.
Hence, the Daughters of Nandi.
Hence, the Daughters of Nandi, because what gets pronounced amongst the living has to be untied, amongst the living. So, udinga manje umuntu who will then untie leso siqalekiso, that she unleashed on her descendants.
And I imagine for Tina, as abantu abazobe befunda le ncwadi, there's a definite takeaway, right, that you'd want us to come away with from reading The Daughters of Nandi. What would that be?
I want people, first of all, to enjoy the book.
Yeah.
Because there was a definite character called Unandi. So there is history in the novel,
Okay.
But also to think about, women through space and time, So how far we've come, what has changed, what hasn't changed, and to really meet these three amazing characters. So Kia is the first daughter who is in the 1700s, and then comes Uju, the whirlwind, during Sophia Town, and then Amangwe is a fallist.
Okay.
In 2015. So you engage with women who are similar but also radically different across space and time. So we are products of where we come from, our history, right? But how do we then engage with that space and time to become who we are and to change our environments?
And your character Bible for these characters, you've just mentioned Bonabo 3. Well, what informed that? Where did that idea come from?
It started really with the idea of, the curse, and where, do we go from there? So I didn't really 100% know where I was going, but I knew that there were three daughters,
Right.
and I knew that they would inhabit different historical times. But Uju is the one that the editor
Okay.
In fact, my two editors, Zukiswa Wanner and Fred Kumalo.
Okay.
They were the ones, because initially I had put around the early 1900s. And they said, look, it shows that you don't know enough about the time because your character does not ring true, you know? So that character I really had to radically shift in terms of time and place.
Okay.
And for me, Sophia Town, I mean, you know, that era, you know, dubbed the fabulous decade, you know, of the drum writers, has always spoken to me, you know. So I felt, look, I know enough about it to be grounded, but because it's a work of historical fiction, it's not a history textbook.
Yes.
So you can't just regurgitate history. But if you're feeling grounded in the period, then you can then go wherever you can. Exactly. But also the Sophia Town removals were such a painful place and such an epic turning point in the history of South Africa that I think it's easy for a lot of people to tap into that emotion, to say, what happens to you as a mother of 8 children that Uju is? You've built this house with the love of your life and you are uprooted, you know. Yeah.
I imagine, Wuti, just your readers, when they pick up this book, there are so many emotions that they're going to go through, right?
Look, I hope so. I hope so, you know, because I think my generation, we do take a lot for granted when it comes to what we know, you know, and also the fact that our memories are valid. You know, so it's not just history with a capital H, you know, or you know, history from above, which is well and good, but also a lot of people remember. You know, a lot about where we come from, and we can then give our children and our grandchildren that focus and that sense of grounding, you know, in the same way that we were given the sense of grounding. Because I mean, I heard of Daughters of Sophia Town through, you know, my father who lived in Sophia Town briefly, through having really being very fortunate and meeting people, you know, like Ndate Don Matera, who lived in Sophia Town. You know,
of course.
Yes, you know, and just through, you know, the rhythm of their speech, through reading their books and so on. So we are privileged that they took the time to record those memories, you know, and we need to also do the same.
Awesome stuff. Let's wrap it up. Talk to me, just a quick highlight of the other titles that you've written.
Yeah, so the latest children's picture book is Soweto Tea Party, also targeted at Epicenter 8 years old. So one of the guests who comes to the tea party is our beloved Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela.
Of course.
I won't tell you who else comes to the Soweto Tea Party. You'll have to buy the book.
Yes.
And of course, my previous books I've written also for younger readers. Freedom Song, there's Spring Offensive, there's Love Songs for Nettie. But most of them are available at Book Circle Capital. Soweto Tea Party also at ethnickids.africa.
Right.
And exclusive books as well.
Awesome stuff. Thanks for joining us on the morning show, Namhlanje Kuseni. You can get The Daughters of Nandi and a host of other titles from Dr Nokuthula. We take a quick ad break. We'll be back momentarily. Stay with us.